Here we go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Hope everybody is doing good. Welcome back to the show. Y'all know what time it is. Start sit lineup advice for week number 9 as we get closer. I believe, like I said, 5 more weeks left until the fantasy football playoffs. So we are still alive. Never quit, never give up. Even if you're on that cusp, we can still make it into the fantasy playoffs. All you got to do is get in the show, and anything is possible to win those trophies. Not much in terms of bye week troubles. We only got the Steelers and the 49ers this week on the bye, and the injuries actually did taper off. A lot of guys did come back this week. We still have some to deal with and contend with, but you guys know the deal, man. Every team, every player, rapid fire. Let's go, man. Arizona Cardinals taking on the Chicago Bears. Cardinals win, and I mean the Bears lose in supreme Hail Mary fashion. Unbelievable. Kyler Murray, fire him up everywhere you got him. He's been playing lights out of recent, and maybe they're starting to figure this thing out just a little bit more. What I tell y'all last week, be patient on a Marvin Harrison Jr. He will get it eventually. He's still relatively new. They don't necessarily know how to continue to force feed him and then utilize everybody. It will continue to pay off as we move forward. Kyler Murray, low-level risk. James Conner is the staple of consistency as well. 6 booms so far for us, 105 points. Good upside on the mid-level. Chicago does play decent defense versus the run, but Conner is a week in, week out, almost a must-play every single week unless you got better options than that, which is not, usually the case and likely. Marvin Harrison Jr., good upside on the low-level risk for me. Fire him up everywhere you got him as well. Man, this guy's just too damn good. They just got to figure out, pass him the football every opportunity you can. He's going to make plays. Marvin Harrison, don't get it twisted, was still the best wide receiver coming out of this class. I don't care what anybody else says. Michael Wilson, mid-level risk. He gives you sprinkles from time to time. He's just so inconsistent overall to give us the top-end plays that we require on the mid-level. It's just not great overall. If you got better options, I'm looking for him. Michael Wilson will pop off in matchup play, no question. Greg Dortch continues to be the PPR floor that we're not looking for. And Trey McBride on the low-level risk. 71 points, 4 boom games. Every tight end was eaten on National Tight End Day last week, so I'm still good with Trey McBride every single week. It's becoming the standard. It's Marvin, it's Trey, and it's James, and they're going to continue to win 4-4 for the Cardinals. They look good, man. Atlanta Falcons taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Kirko Chains. Man, this guy's frustrating, too. It's 2 games in a row of meek performance, and then he blows up for over 30 last week as well. Playing the Cowboys who are struggling, I got low-level risk on a Kirko Chains in Atlanta. They should absolutely be able to, force the hand of the Dallas Cowboys that are not playing very well at this point, and I think they're starting to figure some things out, too. Ride Bijan. He's just too damn good to not give him premier touches. Low-level risk for Bijan as well. Fire up both Kirko Chains and a Bijan this week for me. Tyler Algier, I got him on the low upside mid-level risk because I do feel they will try to utilize Algier a little bit more in this contest. Beat up the front line that much more. Micah Parsons likely still out of this contest as well. So you got to beat up this Dallas front 7, and I think that Algier will give them that as well. Nice 1-2 punch with Bijan. Deeper league play for me for Algier, but don't expect the world from him this week. Drake London coming off a bust game. I'm still giving him a low-level risk, man. Travion Diggs is not, I believe, did I mess up his first name? Diggs, the brother of Stephon Diggs. Okay, whatever. Drake London, low-level risk on the bounce back for me. I believe he had, 6 points last week. For me, I think it's a good bounce-back game on the low-level risk, even though they did get Bland back from the IR as well. The Cowboys did. I think Drake is a very good play. They will go back to the well and force-feed this man on the regular. Mid-level risk for Darnell Mooney. He's a good one for the flex play. I do not dislike the play of this one as well. He's been so good this year. Like I told you all this offseason, he was one of my late-round flyers in the last round. Every round I was mock drafting was Mooney, and Mooney time has definitely given us good points, man. Almost 100 points for this man, 4 boom games. He is an absolute flex play for me all day. Say, hey, Ray McLeod, not touching it this weekend. Kyle Pitts, man, 4 boom games in a row. Well, everyone's got to start talking about Kyle Pitts a little bit more with some good, good speak, because nobody's talking enough. Pitts is doing the business. This is everything we wanted him to do. Almost 80 points right now. Good upside on the low-level risk. I do like the Falcons this week. That is no question. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Denver Broncos. Very good defense in the Broncos. Ravens coming off a loss to those Cleveland Brownies was not a good show. Licking their wounds and their chops. I mean, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry still cooking it. 8 boom games apiece. Perfect season so far for fantasy football for Lamar and Derrick Henry. Lamar was dealing with an injury. He is off the injury report. Fire, obviously, both these gentlemen up with ease. Justice Hill on the PBR floor. He might get some PPR work this week because of how good Denver's defense is. I would not be shocked to see it, as Denver's going to try to stack this box to limit the rushing upside. We will likely see some screen plays to Hill. He should have a decent floor, but again, he's got to get into that end zone for us to trust it. But I mean, 6 to 8 points for Hill this week? I definitely could see it. Zay Flowers, mid-level risk versus a Patrick Surtain and company. We'll see who Surtain does guard in this contest, but I do like Zay as well. They're going to utilize the screens, drags, and slants to get him the football, so we know he's at least going to get his target share. Mid-level risk, I'm okay with Zay Flowers this week as well. Rashad Bateman gets put back down on the low floor for me on the mid-level because it's just no good, man. Why? Because they traded for Deontay Johnson. If he didn't, let balls hit him in the face mask when it was deep down the field, then I think that they wouldn't have gone after a Deontay. But again, here's the situation, the conundrum I have. Have we ever seen a Lamar Jackson support two quality wide receivers on the same season with high levels of frequency and regularity? No, we haven't seen it. So we'll see how it does shake down. Deontay's new to the club, so I would temper the expectations if you are looking to start him. I'm benching a Deontay in many leagues that I have him in at this point, but if you don't have better options, I understand taking the shot. But I mean, it's going to be very much determined on target share and his knowledge of the playbook, which is going to be very slim this week. So Deontay, I'd probably fade him this week, where I would start a Zay Flowers, likely fading a Rashad Bateman also this week. But I'm back with a big one with Mark Andrews, TD upside on the mid-level risk. Finally getting back to the goods. Mark Andrews is that tight end we thought he was going to be in this offense, and he is looking good. Isaiah Likely, low floor, continues for me on the high-level risk. Buffalo Bills taking on Miami. Squish the fish week for us Bills Mafia supporters. Josh Allen, low-level risk, 6-2, look great versus those Seattle Seahawks. And I mean, in the wet conditions, now taking on the Dolphins, it's going to be a nice one. We're going to see how the Buffalo Bills are going to be able to dominate once again. You want to believe they're running the football extremely well. You got to love what's going down. Fire up Josh, obviously, every single week, everywhere you got him. James Cook on the low-level risk. Man, if you guys don't see the appreciation for how James Cook has progressed, I've always been a fan. I'm going to always continue to preach this. He was my guy from coming back from the Georgia Bulldogs. Everyone said, could he run between the tackles? I said, yes, he can. A lot of people, no, you're crazy. He can't do it. Did you see the vision and patience versus Seahawks last week? This guy was finding gaps and holes that were of the slightest opening of windows. James Cook is absolutely progressing in the right direction. Low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Ray Davis, volume floor only unless this game gets out of hand or James Cook is dealing with an injury. Then we can uplift a Ray Davis. He'll get his touches from time to time, just not fantasy viable for me. Amari Cooper, he's on the injury risk. He is a game-time decision from what I'm seeing on a wrist injury. And the way the Bills run the football, I wouldn't be shocked if they do sit him down this week to heal up that risk, because you got to run block in this offense. Otherwise, you're a liability. I would not be shocked to see Amari Cooper sit this week. He's on an injury risk for me. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. I'm going to give TD upside to a Coleman, and Khalil Shakir does have the PPR upside, both on the low-level risk. I think the Bills are starting to figure this thing out quite a bit to understand how to utilize both these gentlemen, and they're moving in the right direction. Yes, they are run heavy. Yes, they are run first, but everyone is eating. Khalil coming off a career day last week. I do like the play of both Coleman and Shakir this week. Dalton Kincaid on the mid-level risk. You know what? At this point, I thought his role would have been that much better. It just isn't as good as we had anticipated, but he's still giving you decent points, anywhere from the 8 to 11 to 12 points. For a Dalton Kincaid, you could do a lot worse at tight end this year, no question. Carolina Panthers taking on the New Orleans Saints. Okay, and so far, Bryce Young is playing from what I have seen. I haven't seen them go back to Andy Dalton just yet, so high-level risk for a Bryce Young. If they do switch that, I will drop that in the comments for y'all to keep you in the know. But, I mean, he got his first boom game last week. Bryce Young threw over 200 yards. This is what we want to see. Don't ever dog the guy, okay? He had a rough time. Lack of weapons, lack of offensive line, and then Andy comes in and does some goodness, and everyone's saying, Bryce Young's the problem. He comes back and he produces. So, they still lost, but at least you're trying to see, at least some progression in this young man. Still high-level risk, but can he support the weapons that he has now that they got rid of Deontay Johnson? Adam Thielen still not ready to come back. Jonathan Brooks was practicing. He's not ready to come back just yet. I still think we're a couple weeks out from, them trying to unleash a Jonathan Brooks, but Chuba Hubbard, these are going to be your final weeks of high-end Chuba. There is no question. Mid-level risk for me. Volume upside is definitely here. If you got Chuba, I do not dislike the play because the Saints are dealing with a plethora of injuries as well. Miles Sanders not touching it. Xavier Legette is also also dealing with an injury of his own, has a toe injury, PPR floor on the mid-level risk. They got to go to somebody, and he is now the defaulted wide receiver 1 on these Panthers. Mingo not touching it, and Jalen Coker. I told y'all last week, I'm a big Coker fan, like his game a lot. He was in the Shrine Bowl, looked good. And I do like his game a lot, and I think that he does have a different skill set that this wide receiver room does not have. And I saw a funny thing that the people that do support Coker, they're called Cokeheads. So I guess I'm a Cokehead at this point. It's too good. It's awesome. I love me some Coker. In deeper leagues, do not dislike the start. We want to see another week of a Jalen Coker before we start talking up the good graces. Still got him on a target upside on the mid-level. And then Jatavion Sanders, not touching it because Bryce Young can't support everybody. He's just got enough problems throwing the football at this point. Chicago Bears taking on those Arizona Cardinals, like I'm saying. Caleb Williams. The Bears had no business being in the lead last week as they were completely anemic for basically 4 quarters. And I mean, they got themselves in the lead until the Hail Mary got them the loss. This is a bounce-back week. What I say last week as well, I thought it was so unfortunate that the Bears got the bye week when they did because they just absolutely cooked the Jags in England. If they continue to keep playing, I think it would have been that much better. Taking the week off after a young team is trying to build stuff and build something special, you got to keep rolling, and maybe now we see no more bye week. They can continue to build off what they did in London and then, continue to move forward. Versus a Cardinals defense that does hemorrhage points at times, I'm giving good upside on the low level to a Caleb. Bounce back in a very big way. He's got to start utilizing his entire receiving core that much more, but DeAndre Swift on the low level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. He's been booming like a madman 4 straight games. Love me some DeAndre Swift. DJ Moore, Roma Dunzier, Keenan Allen. What do we do here? Bounce back week for a DJ Moore. You gotta believe it. I think this is the opportunity. You can see he's visibly frustrated. The ball's not getting to his direction. He is the playmaker. He is the best receiver you have on this team right now. Give him the football, and I think a big bounce back is coming in the green for a DJ Moore. Roma Dunzier, Keenan Allen, temper those expectations until we see higher levels of consistency. I'm giving the high-level risk, low floor to a Dunzier, where I'm giving PPR floor to a Keenan. I think there is better upside for Keenan Allen than there is for Rome at this point, but it is still very sketchy to play either one of these gentlemen at this point. Mid-level risk for Cole Kmet. I don't dislike this play whatsoever. You can absolutely see a Kmet finding his way into the end zone once again this week as they utilize the tight end. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Joey B, your season's in jeopardy. You got Macaulay Culkin dressing up like you on Halloween. This is how bad it's getting for the Bengals at this point. Still low-level risk for Joey B. This offense has been moving. They're just not winning football games at this point. We got Zach Moss dealing with a neck injury. T. Higgins out again. You guys are killing me. T. Higgins especially called him one of the bigger major higher risk players. Man, I'm struggling today. T. Higgins was a high-risk player for me on the ADP, and he's just been so bad when in terms of injuries. They didn't pay the man. We know this. I think he's visibly frustrated and saying, yeah, this injury's taking a little longer when he could actually be playing if he got his money, but I digress. Joey B, low-level risk. He's still going to feed Jamar Chase on the regular. Fire Joey B everywhere you got him. Chase Brown, low-level risk. They're going to utilize this run game versus a Raiders team that has seen better days overall. They will compete, but they are gashable on the ground, through the air, any which way you want to cut it. Chase Brown, absolutely fire him up. I got him going for a boom game this week. Williams taking the place of a Zach Moss. Not really trusting that. He will have a volume floor to spell a Chase Brown this week, no question. Like I said, Jamar Chase, he should have a big day eaten all over the field. Jermaine Burton and Andre Yosevich, the Terminator. I mean, Andre Yosevich to me is the mid-level risk PPR upside player, where a Burton would just be that fill-in potential, deep shot player this week. I like Yosevich in a T. Higgins absence. And Mike Gesicki, every time T. Higgins is out, Gesicki does see his volume come his way. You can absolutely play a Mike Gesicki in this contest on the mid-level risk. Cleveland Brownies taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Jameis Winston, my dude. What did I say? Protect this man at all costs. His interviews are bar none the best, and this guy's awesome, man. Mid-level risk coming off a massive boom game, beating those Baltimore Ravens. He's thanking everybody under the sun. You can play him this week as well, but you got to understand, it is Jameis Winston. Man, am I struggling today. Jameis Winston, this defense for the LA Chargers, they're still good, man, and they play really hard. So I fully expect Jameis to perform, sling the football, but he is going to throw his interceptions, get his fumbles. It just comes with the territory for Jameis, so you can absolutely play him. Just temper the expectations if he does start tossing picks. Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford. What are we doing here? Jerome Ford is coming off the injury report, where Nick Chubb still coming back from his ACL, and I think this will be a nice 1-2 punch to help out a Winston. If I'm having to play one, obviously coming off the injury, I'm going to say start a Nick Chubb over a Ford, but I think that you still got to lower the top end abilities. Unless Chubb starts scoring touchdowns, he's still trying to work his way back. Mid-level risk for a Chubb. I don't foresee over the boom game threshold for him this week as well, where a Jerome Ford, if he is healthy like they say he is, he will get at least 40% of the volume. So definitely temper the expectations on both these running backs. Jerry Jeudy, PPR floor, was dealing with an injury. He's back anyway, giving you a decent floor, 7 to 10 points at this point. Can't hate it. Would look in other directions, but at least they're going to start to utilize him that much more. Elijah Moore not touching it, whereas Cedric Tillman comes back to relevance finally. I mean, good upside for him. Massive day for him last week. But now he's no longer a forgotten commodity. He does have a target on his back. People will now know who he is and will start to cover him. So definitely we're not going to see a two-tutty performance like we saw last week. But I think he's decent play for a wide receiver 3 or flex opportunity. We're a thrash, no touching that at all. And then David Njoku dealing with an injury on the mid-level risk. If Njoku plays, you absolutely fire him up because he is the primary target for a Jameis Winston. Dallas Cowboys taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Dak Prescott and company. I don't think this is salvageable unless you guys get a run game. CeeDee Lamb had a great day on 2 blown coverages last week, but Rico Dwaddle, he didn't play because he got sick and everything went to, crap. And Dalvin Cook he didn't look good. Zeke Elliott, he hasn't looked good all season. Dak Prescott on the mid-level risk. At least he's going to continue to throw the football. They're going to try to continue to move it. CeeDee Lamb is your guy. Low-level risk. The only best play of the day for me versus an Atlanta Falcons defense that seems, up and down at times and can be gashed. So Dak is one of these guys, super flex leagues only what I consider. Outside of that, not really touching it. Where Rico Dwaddle, I don't know if I'm playing it. Mid-level risk. Volume upside definitely here. I would look for better options if you have them. CeeDee Lamb, obviously no-brainer. And then Turpin and a Tolbert. Turpin is that boomer bust commodity where Jalen Tolbert has been disappointing us the last few weeks. So I got him on the low floor, mid-level risk, would look in another direction, but they require somebody else to, give him to take some pressure off of CeeDee Lamb. And I don't know if Tolbert's the one to do it this week as well. Jake Ferguson, he failed me last week. I thought he would have a boom. He did not. So mid-level risk for him. I think they get him back more involved once again this week. Do not hate the play of a Jake Ferguson. Denver Broncos taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, Bo Nix. Bo Nix is doing the business, and Bo knows he's not going to know much, I don't think, against these Baltimore Ravens. I think it's coming back down to earth. 5-3 Denver Broncos. While they are moving in the right direction, 4 boom games. Nix is using his legs to get points. He's starting to pass the football that much better. Told y'all last week it was a tune-up contest for him, and they did open up the playbook quite a bit. He had a nice couple good tosses, one to Troutman. Absolutely phenomenal throw, but I'm telling y'all right now, Bo Nix for me, I think he does fall a little bit under as they're going to blitz the hell out of this man. You know it's going to be a problem. Baltimore's defense has been gashed through the air quite a bit this year, so I'm not going to be shocked if Bo completes some good passes, but I really want to temper the expectations. Mid-level risk for me. I'm looking elsewhere this week. Javonte Williams, Vontae. They got to go back to business, run the football. They kind of went away from it last week, thought he would have had a better game than what he did. You got to control the clock, keep Lamar Jackson off the field. I do believe Javonte's going to have a big role this week. Mid-level risk, even though the defense is stout, versus the run. Jaleel McLaughlin not touching it on the high level. Cortland Sutton on the mid-level target upside. There is potential for garbage time productivity, but the Broncos defense is so good they will keep them in this contest as well. So, Cortland Sutton should get majority of the coverage come his way. And then Baltimore's going to dare anybody else to beat them, and I don't think Cortland Sutton's really going to see a lot of heaping of targets as he should be locked up quite a bit. I would look elsewhere as well. Troy Franklin, low floor. Use this man's speed. I don't know why you guys are not doing it on consistent levels. Try to find ways to manufacture getting him the football, whether it's screens, dumps, and short drags. Get him the football in space. He will turn it upfield, and he will go. Still not touching it in fantasy, just waiting to see how it does go. Devon Vele. High-level risk, still not touching that. And then Adam Troutman jumps a Greg Dulcich at this point, mid-level risk. I think that Bo Nix definitely found something with a Troutman last week, even though it was National Tight End Day, and everybody ate as a tight end. Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. Jared Goff rolled his ankle this week. He is good to go, no no worse for wear. JMO still out on suspension. Good upside for me in a huge divisional contest versus the Green Bay Packers. Fire up Jared Goff everywhere you got him. He's absolutely ready for these contests. It is in Green Bay. Weather could be rainy as well, so watch out for that also. But I got the good upside. He barely had to do anything. He had 3 tutties last week and 100 yards? It was just unbelievable how these Detroit Lions are scoring points. But Jared Goff should be very safe as they are playing good football right now. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, Monty and Gibby. I still like my nickname better than the Sonic and whatever the hell they call Monty at this point. Low-level risk. Fire up these gentlemen. 6 booms and 7 boom games, respectively. Monty to Gibby. They're just killing it right now. This whole team goes through the run game, and they do it so well. The offensive line is a madman. Low-level risk. You can fire up both these guys without even blinking. Amon-Ra St. Brown coming off a bust contest this past week. Should get back to the goods. 5 boom games. Low-level risk. He's always geared up to play the Packers. He should have a very big day. Khalif Raymond, Mr. Gadget player. Mid-level risk. 3 booms, I believe, in a row. 2 booms in a row. He's been doing so well, man. The way they utilize this man, very much an underrated, talented player. They utilize him in the slot quite a bit. He is a gadget play. He does do some kick returns. So there is upside in deeper leagues, 12-man leagues. I don't know if I could stomach it because it is so hit and miss, but I am giving him the mid-level as he is integrated until JMO does come back. Tim Patrick, not touching it. And Sam Laporta, told you LTD was coming. Boom game last week. You want to believe it is coming again this week, but I got to temper it back down to a mid-level risk. There should be some PPR upside, but I don't know, man. They should be on a Sam Laporta this week quite a bit. Green Bay Packers taking on the Detroit Lions. Jordan Love feeling the love for love. He's not feeling too much love with that groin injury, but he's looking and etching to play this week. So if he plays, we got to play him, man. Injury risk on the low level. If he does suit up, we got to suit up him. If he does suit up and he tweaks that groin, he could be out like last week and screw everybody over with a low point total. So, that is definitely something to consider. If you got better options, you may want to take it. But, we'll keep watching it. I will definitely keep you updated in the comments if anything does change on the health of a Jordan Love. Josh Jacobs on the low-level risk. He was also dealing with an ankle injury. He absolutely killed it last week. 6 boom games on the season. And this is the Jacobs I was hoping for. What we saw last week, dominance in the run game, scoring touchdowns, being that running back one that we know he is. Fire him up everywhere we got him. Even though the Lions' defense is sound, they are missing some linebackers, so there could be holes that they could gash through. And especially without Aiden Hutchinson, they are more susceptible to that ground game. Emmanuel Wilson not touching it. Romeo Dobbs, mid-level risk. Jaden Reed, mid-level risk. I'm playing both these guys in this contest. They will absolutely show up versus the Lions. And it should be one of these situations where these two eat the most, where the other ones will get sprinkles in a Christian Watson and a Dontavian Wicks. I got Reed and Dobbs playing both, absolutely. Watson on the low floor, TD upside only, and it is so hit and miss. We cannot trust it, but you got to believe in this contest, they're going to try to spread them deep. So definitely there could be at least 1 or 2 opportunities to a Watson deep. So if you are really willing to risk the biscuit, he could get you a TD, where Dontavian Wicks TD floor is what saves them. High level risk for me not touching it. Tucker Kraft on the TD upside on the low level risk. This man's been eating almost 80 points, 4 boom games for tight ends. I am absolutely playing a Tucker Kraft this week. Indianapolis Colts taking on the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Joe Flacco, this team is not flaccid when they got Flacco, and it is good stuff, mid-level risk. Everybody gets an upgrade now that A-Rich is now on the bench. Tapping out because he was tired, just not a good look, man. I don't know how the coaching staff could not bench you after that. Flacco gives them the best opportunity to win, and I absolutely agree. 10 passes per week completed is not going to get it done. Minnesota's defense is very good, but mid-level risk for Joe Flacco, much like a Jameis Winston. He understands when his time is not much left in the NFL. He's going to sling the football. Flacco, I'm speaking of, and he should at least be able to support 2 out of 3 wide receivers in this contest without question. Fire up Joe Flacco if you are struggling for a quarterback in deeper leagues, Superflex leagues, absolutely. Jonathan Taylor, low-level risk. 5 games, 5 booms. This man, that's all he does. He makes booms happen. Fire up at JT. They're going to utilize the ground game quite a bit, and Minnesota was gashed quite a bit last week, even though that defense is still very solid. Jonathan Taylor, absolutely worth the play, man. Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. We're always down for Downs. I got good upside on the green for a Downs or a Pittman on the mid-level TD upside because I do believe they both will eat in this contest. Eventually, we will see it. I mean, Michael Pittman's got the bigger body upside, where he is going to be the mismatch on the field to take away from the Vikings defense. So he should be able, at least if they get in the red zone, to, target him a few times. You can absolutely see a TD coming from him where Josh Downs is that fast, sneaky player. PPR upside, good upside for him this week. Love the play of Downs over a Pittman, but do not dislike either one of them this week. Alec Pierce, boomer bust, not touching it. AD Mitchell, still high risk. They're just not utilizing him. We got to wait until they get him the football, and then we're going to see explosion. This kid is too good to keep the shackles on him. Utilize the man, for God's sakes. And then Mo Cox, Mo problems. There are too many problems here. He does not see the football near enough. Even with Flacco, there is opportunity, but I'm not touching that this week. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Injuries is the name of the game for these Jaguars. We got Etienne dealing with a game-time decision. Brian Thomas Jr., game-time decision. Tank Bigsby dealing with an ankle. We got Gabe Davis, shoulder, questionable. And then, like we know, Christian Kirk is out with a collarbone injury. He's going to be sent to IR, no question. It's a problem, man. So Trevor Lawrence, sunshine, what are you going to do? Who are you going to pass to? You might not even have a healthy running back at this point. It's going to be a struggle versus the Philadelphia Eagles defense that did look better last week. There are still holes they can gash them through, but they are looking a lot better. So Trevor Lawrence, you got to be supremely efficient, mid-level risk for me. I foresee a lot of mistakes with a different receiving core he may have this week, especially if a Brian Thomas Jr. does not suit up in this contest. Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne. Right now, Etienne is a game-time decision. I'm leaning toward a Tank, even though I do not like the play overall, mid-level risk, only because the front seven of the Eagles is so good. Tank is going to struggle on the best of times versus defense, so look in other directions if you got better options. Parker Washington, low floor PPR upside. Especially if this game does go out of hand, we could see some garbage time productivity to Parker. But again, it's just one of the terrible matchup plays as, Eagles are starting to figure it out on the defensive back end. So Parker Washington likely fade this week for me as well. Gabe Davis, if he does play, fading that also. And then Brian Thomas Jr., if he does suit up, I will play a BTJ. You're going to have to temper those expectations. Chest contusion is not something you just, breathe and you're good. He's going to be struggling in pain. So if he does suit up, maybe I'll play him, but I'm hoping that he does sit so I don't have to make that decision. Evan Ingram on the volume upside. This is the best thing for Evan Ingram as he will be peppered with targets as the linebacker core can be exposed here in Philadelphia. I expect a massive day for an Evan Ingram. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Monday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes boy. Finally, okay, still throwing interceptions like a madman. Finally threw TD last week. Low-level risk. Fire him up as the Bucs. They've seen better days. Injuries are derailing them. Baker Mayfield, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up. This defense is too good. Without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, it would have been a different story with those two gentlemen. But at this point, I think Kansas City just, the fortune is on their side right now. Even Patrick Mahomes turning the football over, and they're still 7-0. Patrick Mahomes, low-level risk. He'll get you the 18 points you're looking for. You could do a lot worse. Hopefully he has more than that this week versus a Bucs secondary without Winfield and company. Kareem Hunt, he was dealing with an injury. Mid-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him as well because the TD upside is definitely here when they're inside the 5-yard line. He has been very reliable so far this season. P. Ryan not touching it. We're D-Hop, second week with these Kansas City Chiefs. Mid-level risk for me. I think he will get more familiar with this playbook, and they will start to utilize him that much more this week. I think the floor is much safer than it was last week, so definitely mid-level risk. If you got him, don't hate the play. Hopefully you don't have better options, and then it makes it a lot easier. Xavier Worthy, my dude, man, TD upside continues on the mid-level risk. Utilizing him properly for boom games. He is the good one. You just got to give him the football that much more, and he's going to make plays for you. McCole Hardman not touching it on the low floor, where Travis Kelce does have a low-level risk for me. Should absolutely eat once again this week. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Cleveland Brownies. Justin Herbert saw his first boom game last week, over 20 points. Oh my goodness, did the hell freeze over? Because that's the best he looked all season long. And why? Because he's got a good lad with him, Lad McConkey. Ladd had a great contest. Finally, we saw something that we were all hoping would be early on. But I mean, about the halfway point of the season is relatively fair for young rookie wide receivers to start figuring it out. And I think they actually did here with a Ladd McConkey, Justin Herbert. I mean, mid-level risk versus a Browns defense that does have a lot of injuries as well. JOK, Denzel Ward, both out of this contest. So, man, Herbert should be able to at least move the football. Mid-level risk. I'm still not starting a Herbert, but I'm hoping that he can support a lot of these wide receivers. J.K. Dobbins, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him, even though it is a struggle to run against a Myles Garrett and company. I still like the play of JK. Think he's going to have a very good day. 4 booms for this man, almost 100 points. Absolutely great bounce back season. Josh Palmer, PBR upside. High level risk for me, just not near enough of the volume that I thought would come to this man at this point. It's just not working. Fade Palmer to the dust right now. It's giving you 6 to 8 points, just not near enough for me to trust. QJ, Quentin Johnston. They should try to go deep this week. Johnson came back unscathed from his injury last week, so this is good news. Hopefully they utilize him. I'm still not playing it this week, where I am playing a Ladd McConkey on the low-level risk, good upside, and then a Will Disley on a PPR floor. Don't dislike it as well. There is opportunity for Ladd and Disley in this offense. Everyone else I'm kind of fading outside of a J.K. Dobbins. Los Angeles Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Matthew Stafford is back, baby. Why? He's got his boys back, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Puka absolutely was unbelievable last week. Matthew Stafford, low-level risk, had one of his best games of the season. Fire him up versus Seahawks defense and a Seahawks team that is going in the wrong direction. They do not look good. And I think they're going to be able to be gashed once again. Josh Allen exposed them. So can Matthew Stafford. Low-level risk. Fire up a Stafford everywhere you got him. Stud start for a Kyron Williams. 7 boom games. This guy's killing it every single week. Just eating up defenses. Scoring touchdowns. It's obviously a stud start for me. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua right now. Low-level risk for a Cooper Kupp. Injury risk for a Puka. You kidding me? Injured that knee again in practice. They said he should be good to go, but watch the injury report as we get closer to game day. But if they're both playing like I said last week, fire them up everywhere you got them, because this is how this offense moves, and Stafford is just, dishing it out to both these gentlemen. They're so good, Kupp and Nacua together. It's such a nice thing to see, man. We're DeMarcus Robinson, mid-level TD upside. It's a high-risk play, but he does score TDs, because he is the forgotten man in this offense and will get at least his 4 targets per game, and 3 of those should be in the red zone when they are there. So definitely deeper leagues for Robinson. Colby Parkinson, he falls down to the bottom of the basement of all these players. Low floor for me. High level risk, not touching it. Las Vegas Raiders taking on those Cincinnati Bengals. Gardner Minshew, okay. Mustache Minshew on the mid-level risk. He's giving you enough. I mean, in deeper leagues, I'm not playing it, but I mean, at least he's going to be able to compete versus a Bengals defense that does struggle with the best of times, and he's going to find his players. Yes, they traded away at Devontae Adams, but now they got themselves Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers moving the football. They have looked okay, man. At least they can move the football. Not playing a Minshew, but this is all good. Why I'm saying it, because he's going to be able to support everybody else. Alexander Madison should have a bounce back this week. Still got him on the mid-level risk. Should be able to find holes to gallop through, whereas Zamir Zeus White, his dreadful season continues. Not touching that this week. Trey Tucker, target floor on the mid-level. I'm not playing it either. We're a DJ Turner, low floor. He's got high risk, high reward. Not touching that either. We're a Jacoby Myers, good upside on the low-level risk. Absolutely fire him up. We're 15 points. Should be, the afterthought every single week for this man. Should be the number 1 target in this offense, along with a Brock Bowers, low-level risk. Fire him up, as he's just eaten every single week that we play him, man. Miami Dolphins taking on the Bills in Buffalo. Tua comes back. Good to see Tua back from the concussion. I was happy to see it. At this point right now, can you play Tua versus the Buffalo Bills? Yes, you can, and I think it's going to be okay. Is he going to give you the top-end stuff? I mean, there was some rust to shake off. They lost that game late to the field goal to the Arizona Cardinals. They'll compete. Will they win? We'll see, unless the Bills shoot themselves in the foot. Tua at least showcase the fact he's back and he's able to support guys like we need. We're Devin off the A-chain. A-chan, low-level risk. Fire him up. Tua, I don't hate the start, but I would look at other directions if you have it, man. A-chan, obviously low-level risk. Fire him up. He always runs very well. Doesn't matter who the defense is. Where Raheem Mostert plays the Bills very well. Always has TD upside on the mid-level risk for me. Raheem, I'm absolutely considering playing if you got running back injuries. Tyreek Hill, low-level risk, dealing with a foot. He's off the injury report, and he does like to play the Bills as well. This is a huge game for their season. I fully expect Tyreek to see a boatload of targets versus the Bills. Jalen Waddle time. This could be his breakout game as well. The mid-cross is over the middle, 15 to 20 yards deep on the sevens, breaking that zone coverage. That's kind of where his MO is, and I think they're going to utilize that versus the Bills as well. Mid-level risk. But again, the floor has been so bad for a Waddle so far this season. If he does not do anything, he cripples us, so definitely temper those expectations. Don't dislike the flex play for a Jalen Waddle. Oh, BJ, I mean, it's not good for Odell Beckham. I think the writing's on the wall. I'm not even looking at that at this point. Jonnu Smith, PPR floor on the mid-level risk, should get some targets, but not near enough to play for me. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football. Sam Darnold and company can have a good bounce-back game versus an Indy defense that does struggle with the best of them, too. I think low-level risk. Fire up a Sam Darnold everywhere you got him. Likewise with an Aaron Jones, low-level risk. He's been a beast this season. 5 boom games for him, 6 for Darnold. They look good, and they will continue to keep going, moving forward. Have a couple hiccups here and there, but they should absolutely bounce back this week. JJ, stud start of the week. He's got 7 boom games. I foresee a massive Justin Jefferson day this week. Obviously, we're playing him, but it's going to be a good one. No question in my mind. Jalen Naylor, low floor on the high-level risk. And then Jordan Addison, dude, can you get this man the football? Y'all made me look like a liar last week, and he just doesn't get the target share. Sam, look in this man's direction. He will make plays. Addy is one of these superstars in the making, but he's got to see the damn football. Mid-level risk downgraded him this week. I have no choice. Where TJ Hawkinson is off the injury report, I'm still putting him as a high level. Let's wait and see what he does first. Won't play him this week, but then we'll discuss what we do moving forward next week. New England Patriots taking on those Tennessee Titans. The story rests here with the Patriots with Drake May. Is he going to play concussion prom? He's still on the questionable. Has not cleared yet, but the fact that he's questionable on Friday does say, and Saturday does say that it's going to be potentially that he's going to get cleared before game day. Injury risk on the mid-level. We'll see where it does go. If he does play, everybody gets an uptick. Ramondre, mid-level risk against Titans defense. That is good up the middle, stopping the run, but Dre is one of these running backs that can bulldoze over people, so I don't dislike the start for a Ramondre with a Drake May. Kayshon Boutte, y'all like Boutte? Because, I mean, this Kayshon Boutte is turning into something. Still not playing it, but I do like the supportive piece that he is to this offense. Once they figure it out, I think Boutte is actually going to take off in the near future, man. Kendrick Bourne still dealing with that ACL recovery on the field, not touching it. We're at Pop Douglas. He ain't been popping much lately for us. Keep him on the bench unless you have no other choice. If Drake does play, you just want to see feed this man the football, let him see what he can do. If Drake does play, okay, flex appeal is for me. But outside of that, I'm looking in other directions. KJ Osborne not looking in that direction. Hunter Henry, TD upside if a Drake May does play on the mid-level risk. New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. And I mean, oh my goodness, they had to have an open tryout for players because they have so many injuries, man. Cedric Wilson, hip, he's questionable. Jamal Williams, he's doubtful with a groin. Bub Means, he's got an ankle, he's out. Kendre Miller, he's always out and continues this week. But they do got some positive news where Derek Carr is likely starting this week, which is good, coming off the oblique. Give this offense something to cheer about. Taking on a Carolina Panthers team that's super beatable. Derek Carr should absolutely come back, have some rust early, but then get back in the goods. Mid-level risk. I'm not playing Derek Carr this week, but I love it for everybody else, including Alvin Kamara, low-level risk. We're obviously firing him up everywhere he got him, but I like the game with a Derek Carr back. Likewise, with a CO2, Chris Olave, my guy. Good upside on the low-level risk. Fire up Olave everywhere you got him. If you are struggling, Cedric Wilson would be my first option if he does play like trending in the right direction to suit up this week, as he is the veteran and he knows how to catch the football. Cedric would have a good PPR floor. Where it tipped in, I don't like it whatsoever. And then Taysom Hill, the TD Vulture himself, he's good to go. Mid-level risk. He should act as the backup running back to an Alvin Kamara, so he will get a lot of touches this week as they only have a fullback backing up an Alvin Kamara. Everybody else is injured at this point. So I don't dislike the start of a Taysom, just temper the expectations this week. New York Giants taking on the Washington Commanders, the Commies. Every time we want to upgrade a Daniel Jones to Danny Dimes, I always got to downgrade him to Danny Pennies, man. He just does not look good. He's not consistent. And taking on a commies team, I mean, at least the upside here is Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors. They got a good future with these two gentlemen, but Daniel Jones, man, mid-level risk. Hopefully you can at least support these guys. That's all we're asking you to do, not touching Danny this week. Devin Motor Singletary, he's lost his job to a Tracy. Tracy came off the concussion protocol. He is good to go this week as well. Fire him up on the low-level risk. Malik Neighbors, likewise, fire him up everywhere you got him. After the concussion, we see him playing a little bit more timid if you guys don't see this. Dropping passes, not taking that punishment like he was just playing free early on. But I like Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy this week. Fire both these gentlemen up everywhere you got them. Slayton or Wandale. Target floor for a Slayton or PPR floor for a Wandale Robinson. So right now, I mean, it is pick your poison. They get relatively a similar stat line each and every week. 6 to 10 points is kind of where your ceiling is. Unless a Neighbors is out, then Slayton eats because he takes that role. But this week, I mean, it is absolutely 6 to 10 points. Pick your poison, whichever you prefer. And then Theo Johnson still on the high-level risk, but I do like how they are integrating this young man into this offense. He does look good. Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval, you got a lot of punishment coming. And I got some problems with you people, and that person is a Jalen Hurts. You know, I want to swear so bad right now. While you played good, why did you have to steal every damn touchdown last week? What'd you have, 36 points? You couldn't share one with Saquon? A lot of us could have used that extra TD, man, but nevertheless, man, Hurts low-level risk, 6 boom games. He's killing it, 151 points. Eagles are starting to figure it out, and they got a cupcake matchup here versus this Jaguars defense. Hurts is going to eat this week as well. Likewise with a Saquon stud start for me. He should absolutely carve up the Jags this week and take some of the touches that the touchdowns that Jalen stole last week, you bastard. I still can't believe you stole those TDs, man. Give us one to Barkley. Don't be so selfish. Anyway, A.J. Brown, grown-ass man, low-level risk, fire him up. Smitty, Devonta Smith, low-level risk, fire him up everywhere you got him. Dallas Goedert continues to be out with the hamstring, so everybody else I'm fading. The main cast of characters in this offense eats usually every single week, and I'm definitely trusting every single one of them. Seattle Seahawks taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Geno! You've seen better days, my friend. I don't know what is going on with this Seattle Seahawks club right now. You started, 3-0? Now you're 4-4? What the hell are you guys doing in Seattle? Geno, man, he's okay. There was a lot of mistakes last week. That game could have been completely different had the fumbles, the bad snaps, the interceptions not occurred. But Geno's still decently reliable versus a Rams defense that can be gashed. I don't dislike the play of Geno this week. This is a huge divisional contest, and he will be ready to go. And this isn't a dome, so I think it's in Seattle. So I mean, you got the 12th man. Utilize them. Geno, I don't hate the play this week. Kenny Walker III, the Bills did a magnificent job shutting down Kenny. He should bounce back in a very big way. Low-level risk. No more Aaron Donald. Everybody can run on this team. There is no question. Zach Charbonnet, not touching it this week once again. Tyler Lockett, you failed me last week. I thought it was going to be a boom. The Bills did a wonderful job locking you up last week. Pun intended. I'm telling y'all this week, Lockett, we got a mid-level risk. He should see better because DK Metcalf is still out with that knee injury, and I think the Hawks are going on the bye week, so it only makes sense to rest a DK for another week. Lockett's got to be better, but I do still like a Jackson Smith and a Jigba JSN on the good upside, low-level risk. Fire up JSN before I'm firing up Lockett, but then you're going to see Lockett's going to score a TD this week. Watch. It's going to happen. No question, man. Jake Bobo, low floor because he was not good last week. He was my sleeper, and he just did not look good. But Jake Bobo, I mean, if they give him targets, he'll make plays. Just not enough to go around at this point. And no offense, so A.J. Barner gets a mid-level risk. He's looking good. So far, this rookie has looked pretty solid at the tight end spot. Still not trusted outside of deeper leagues, but Barner does. If you're struggling for tight ends, I mean, Barner does have some upside that he will get some targets in this offense. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Baker Mayfield, Bake Show. It did not look good. Interceptions coming. But at least we got garbage time productivity. If this team cannot, provide offensively, they're going to lean on the ground game. And I think that's got to be the positives here, where a Baker is on a mid-level risk. This defense is so good in Kansas City. They will make Baker earn every single dollar this week. Where Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, Bucky's still dealing with that toe injury. Rachaad White, to me, on the low-level risk, PPR upside, whether it's in-game, during the game, I should say, or garbage time productivity, Rachaad White should absolutely absolutely eat this week when it comes to the PPR upside. Starting him in PPR leagues without question. Bucky Irving, he's dealing with the injury, played last week through it. I foresee that happening again. Mid-level risk for me where they're using him more as a rushing upside guy at this point. I'm tempering the expectations. He should get volume, but I'm definitely tempering it back. I think that you could do better because the matchup is so poor, but if you have no other options, Bucky still is a play. Sean Tucker not seeing it this week once again. What do we do with these wide receivers? Shepard, McMillan, Palmer. We're not playing any of these guys. McMillan, if I had to pick out of all these guys, I would pick my guy McMill right now, but it's just still very difficult at this point to trust. Trey Palmer, not so much, man. K. Dotton, on the other hand, low-level risk for me once again. They should absolutely force-feed this man on the regular. Once again, minimum 7 targets should come his way. Most reliable target Baker Mayfield does have. Dump-offs, check downs, and garbage time point productivity. He should definitely get over 12 points this week. I'll be shocked if it does not happen. Tennessee Titans taking on the New England Patriots. And I'm really hopeful, and I'm like, again, I'm not ever going to, celebrate another man's demise, but I would really be happy if we saw Mason Rudolph play. I never thought I'd say that word in my life, that sentence. Mason just lets this offense move better than Will Levis at this point, so let's hope for Rudolph. Then everybody gets an upgrade, but we got problems. Tajay Spears, he's out with a hammy. We know Will Levis still dealing with a shoulder. Tony Pollard didn't practice all week, and he is dealing with a foot injury on the questionable, though, so definitely I will update you on that one because his status could change relatively quickly to being out, so then that would leave a Julius Chestnut to be the running back 1 on this team. So if you're struggling, you got a Tony Pollard shares and you're looking for another running back, Chestnut would be the guy you pick up only for volume upside. I mean, Patriots have seen better days, blocking against the run. But, I mean, Chestnut's not a great running back. But, I mean, given the opportunity, he would be excited and running fierce. So, volume upside would be there. But, hopefully, Tony Pollard does play with a Mason Rudolph. And then that would make things that much better. Calvin Ridley on the mid-level risk because of only Will Levis at this point. I would upgrade him to a good upside if he does get a Mason Rudolph. Finally broke out with a D-Hop gone. So, it was addition by subtraction. You remove a superstar like D-Hop. Now, Calvin Ridley can actually be the wide receiver 1, and I think that was kind of what he was alluding to. Give me the damn football. Let me show you what I can do, and he definitely showcased that last week. Mason plays. I'm playing Ridley. If Levis plays, I'm definitely humming and hawing that option. There is no question. Tyler Boyd also dealing with an injury shoulder. So, I mean, low floor, mid-level risk. But Nick Westbrook, Akine, TD upside definitely does reside here, especially with a Rudolph. I would not dislike the play of an Akine. If you do need a wide receiver, TDs just find this man on the regular. Again, forgotten guys do get TDs, just like other teams like a DeMarcus Robinson in LA. Kind of very similar type of player where a Chig Okonkwo, not touching that on the TD floor. High upside or high risk, no play upside. Washington Commanders, last one on the board, taking on the New York Giants. Jaden Daniels, Hail Mary and a half. Can you believe what we saw last week? This guy wasn't even supposed to play. But, I mean, everyone's going to criticize the Chicago Bears for misplaying the Hail Mary, which we all should, 110%. Knock the football down, and how do you ever let a guy get behind you on a Hail Mary? Biggest mistakes you ever do. How do you let them get the 15 yards? You just allowed them to get the 15 yards so Jaden could toss that ball in the end zone? He had a rib injury, man. You don't give him those 15 yards, he's not making it to the goal line. I don't know. Chicago, you guys have some issues with your team. But anyway, Jaden Daniels, low-level risk. He's off the injury report, looking no worse for wear. Fire him up everywhere we got him. He's been an absolute dog and a beast. Where Brian Robinson Jr., B-Rob, 6 boom games. If he does play, I mean, he's dealing with a hammy once again. He's got some injury risk, but if he's playing, you fire him up. He's been too good. He's one of the most underrated running backs in this league. I love me some B-Rob Jr. play. I absolutely love this kid, man. Austin Eckler would get the uptick if a B-Rob does sit, but I think that they're both going to play, so I got a mid-level risk for an Austin Eckler. Scary Terry McLaurin, low-level risk, 6 boom games. This is the Terry we were hoping for, man. Jaden brought it all out back for it. You can fire up Scary Terry versus Giants. He should absolutely have a very good day. Noah Brown, Diami Brown, the Brown brothers. Noah Brown caught that, Hail Mary TD. Maybe that's some upside for you guys. Feed this man the football. He's a good wide receiver. At least would get you 11 to 12 points every single week with PPR upside. Jaden Daniels, I'm looking at you, man. Start looking at Noah Brown. Noah Brown, he's trusted. I'm telling you, I'll feed him the football. I'm a big fan of Noah Brown, so that's why Ohio State wide receivers. What can I say, man? Diami Brown not touching it, and Zach Ertz, mid-level risk, Mr. Consistent, giving you anywhere from 6 to 11 points. You cannot hate that from the tight end spot. But there you have it. That is Start Sit for week number 9. Like always, drop your questions in those comments. I will get back to everybody as possible as I can before kickoff. And it's going to be another good week. Let's get those dubs, and I appreciate all the support, but nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.